Hello and welcome to the Alchemy Lounge podcast. And today's episode is all about seasonal witchcraft for the exhausted entrepreneur. So let's dive in. I'm your host, Victoria Quance, a lifelong practicing witch and author of The Witch Way to Manifest. And after helping hundreds of people all around the world with incorporating practical magic into their business and lifestyle, I bring to you the first podcast blending personal psychology and the power of the universe with practical tools and modern alchemy to show you how to enhance your business and your well-being in the most natural way possible. This is the Alchemy Lounge podcast, where magic becomes your competitive advantage, not just a hobby. Hello and welcome to season 2 of the Alchemy Lounge podcast. If you have been following along for season 1, you will have seen plenty of gorgeous interviews with myself and some amazing humans all over the world doing incredible things. And we are back with season 2. This season is all about me sharing my nuggets of gold and wisdom with you lovely bunch, and really helping you see how magic and witchcraft can actually have such practical applications. You're probably doing a lot of this stuff already, or you've tried it in the past. So we are debunking some myths about what we are talking about when it comes to witchcraft and being a practicing witch. But also we are going to really tailor that and hone in on how it can really help serve you and your business, and making sure that you're running your business from a place of authenticity, getting to where you want to be, but also nurturing the soul behind the business, looking after you and looking after your well-being. So I wanted to start this season talking about seasons, funnily enough. So I am going to do a full episode where I talk about the Sabbats and the Wheel of the Year, which is what we follow as practicing witches. But I wanted to start with things that are simple, relatable, that you will completely get. And that is the seasons. Okay, we are all familiar with the seasons and the way that nature changes throughout the year. So this is where I want to start. And this is something that you probably you've noticed if you've not intentionally worked with the seasons. So notice how you feel at certain times of year. If I ask you your favorite season, you can probably bring one to mind. And that is because that is your default season. That is where your energy is naturally best suited. So you might find at that particular time of year, you are more productive, you have more clarity, you've just got more energy, you enjoy yourself more, so your frequency is different. And we all have our favorite seasons, okay, whether it's because of certain holidays or just how nature is around us. But knowing that actually can serve you and help support you and your business is really, really interesting. And this is where we can start to work with the seasons, not only our favorites, but looking at our year as a business owner and changing how we work as we go through the year. So for a lot of business owners, you will naturally look at each quarter anyway. Maybe you have a quarterly planning session. Maybe you have a quarterly review that you do. Maybe you just kind of go throughout the year, you blink, and then you think, heck, where did the year even go? But if you want to start working with the seasons a little bit more to support you, you might notice that actually you're planning slightly different things in different seasons. So that's what we're going to talk about today and how this can really help you. So the thing that I love about working with the seasons is it's probably the biggest part of being a witch. And this is where people think, it's so unusual or strange to class yourself as a witch. What does that even mean? But one of the strongest connections we have as witches is the connection to nature. So in that sense, congratulations, you're probably a witch too, whether you own it, whether you like the word, whether or not you recognize that. If you feel differently after being out in nature, you can sense the medicine that nature brings us. And that is exactly what witchcraft is about. Now, we all have our own kind of preferences. We have our own areas, just like we have our own favorite seasons. We have our own elements, if you like, that we tend to prefer. So for me personally, I am very much what I would call a cosmic witch. I am very much working with the cosmos, the astrology, connecting to higher dimensions. That is where I am naturally most gifted, but I absolutely blend other things as well. So I am currently trying to improve my earth witchery and my gardening. It is not a natural talent. It is not a natural gift. Even though my dad is an excellent gardener, it's somehow not kind of passed through the genetics. So that is something that I would love to connect more to and connect to nature in the way of gardening. So if you are a keen gardener, then again, congratulations. You are actually practicing witchcraft as you do that. You're working with your plants and nature and connecting to the ground in a beautiful earth magic kind of way. If you grow herbs, if you cook with herbs and spices and you're very intentional with your cooking, then you might be a kitchen witch, for example. So there are different areas that we can tap into. You might be just eclectic and love a bit of everything, which I thoroughly enjoy too, because there is something for everybody. So that is one of my favorite things about being a witch, is connecting into the seasons and just being able to take whatever it is that we need. Obviously, it also connects to astrology. I'm not going to go into loads of astrology in this session, but there will be episodes where I'm talking about how you can look at astrology as a way of informing your business plan as well. That's one of the main things I do with my clients, is look at their personal natal charts and the key things, the key information that is on there that can help inform your business. Okay, so let's focus on our seasons. Okay, now at the time of recording this, we've actually just had summer solstice, so we are in the peak of summer, which is beautiful. So summer is all about visibility, and if you think about nature in summer, it is hopefully sunny, it is bright, it is light, we have more daylight, and that can make us feel more exposed in a way. So when you're looking at your business during the summer months, where can you tap into that? Where can you use that extra light that we have to become more visible? It does also shine a little bit of a spotlight on where we hesitate around that. So where do we actually think, oh, I don't really want to be more visible, or I would like more clients, but I don't want to actually have to be seen and put myself out there. So it could bring things like that up for you as well, up to the surface, so then you can process and you can work with those and alchemize those. But we want to be looking at visibility that feels good for you. This is where the astrology can actually support you, because there will be ways of you being visible and being seen by your ideal clients that really matches your personality and what feels good for you. So it doesn't have to feel exposing and scary. It can feel really aligned and really natural for you as well. Another thing that we want to really look at in summer is who we are. What is our identity? But most importantly, the identity that we want to be seen as. What is your public image? What is your reputation? How do you want to be seen? Because that connects to that visibility piece, right? So one of the things I see a lot is clients who really want to be visible because they want to help more people. They want to have more of an impact, but they hesitate on it because actually they're not entirely sure which version of themselves they can actually put out there and can portray, and what mask they might have to put on to be seen as professional or credible or someone who can help people. So we really want to look at your identity at this time of year. Who are you as a soul, as a genuine, authentic person? Are you showing up as that person? Are you showing up in integrity? And this has been a huge, huge part of my journey. And I didn't always used to say, you know, I'm a practicing witch and I can heal people and I can see things and I know things. And it was very difficult for me to say that. And still in certain spaces, I will hesitate over saying that, and I will mask it. I will hide it behind something else, whether it be hiding it behind manifestation coaching or hiding behind the masters I have in psychology and leading with that and leading with the science. So it's almost more credible than saying I'm a practicing witch and I know stuff. Okay, so look at this for yourself. Look at where you are in integrity and where you're out of integrity, where you're showing up as your true self and where perhaps you're not. And when we show up as our true self, yes, you may polarize people. Yes, you will not appeal to everybody. There's that wonderful saying, you don't actually want to be everyone's cup of tea because then you're just a mug. And I love that. So we're not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. So once we can almost get over that hurdle of, well, I'm going to be judged and I might upset some people, or people are going to stop following me or listening to me, but those aren't your people. So this is what summer can really help us with. It can help us get a little bit more bold and a little bit braver. Obviously, we're connecting to the element of fire in the summer as well, because the sun is a huge ball of fire. So it can give you that extra bit of like feisty, fiery energy that sometimes we need just to get things moving. We do also find things move quicker during the summer months because of that fire energy as well. So it's a real season of momentum, but we want to make sure that it's momentum that is a true representation of us, and we're being visible in the way that we want to be visible. We're being seen for the version of us that we want to be seen. Okay. This also links into your standards and what is acceptable for you and who you are as a leader. People freak out about the word leader or leadership, and really it comes down to a skill of negotiation and influence. And you are always influencing yourself. Influence and leadership can feel like manipulation. It can feel heavy. It can feel like, oh, well, I'm not a leader. I don't want to be a leader. But you are always leading yourself. Even if you're not a leader to others or an inspiration to others, you are always leading yourself. You are always influencing yourself. Every decision you make is influenced by you, right? So you are a leader to you, if nobody else. But chances are, especially if you're listening to this, you are a leader and you are here to lead others and show them a different way of being, a different way of living. So that is our gorgeous summer season. That is what we want to be focusing on. If you're listening to this in summer, that is right now at the time of recording, that is where I would guide you to direct your energy. Okay. Now into autumn, which is my personal favorite, mainly because of my love of Halloween, but also I just love the weather in autumn where we have those bright blue skies, but it's a little bit cooler. So gorgeous, gorgeous season. And this really is a season of intuition, because we start to turn inwards a little bit more. The summer has been very much about being out there, being bold, being seen in the way that we want to be seen. Autumn brings us in and connecting to our soul self, listening to our intuition, and really reflecting on what have we achieved throughout the summer season. Has it been what we wanted it to be? Is there anything holding us back? Is there anything that we need to release in order to move forwards, in order to be able to relax a little bit more into the winter season? And we can see this in nature. You know, the leaves all fall, flowers no longer bloom, and we let go of things. We let go of what's not serving us and really tap into that inner wisdom. You will have learnt so much over the summer season, things that worked, things that didn't, things that made you feel good, things that actually weren't what you expected them to be. We want to use all that information as data. So in autumn, you are really reflecting. This is actually a great time to reflect on the entire year. And it's, you know, no surprise, the witch's new year actually falls in autumn with Halloween. And this feels like a much easier time for setting intentions if you want to, but really reflecting on what the year has brought for you. In winter, when we're in January and like people are setting New Year's resolutions, you know, it's the complete opposite energy to actually what serves those kinds of activities. So if you're wanting to reflect on your year as a whole, the autumn season is perfect for that. Look at your business, look at what has been working for you. Look at what has brought you the most joy and fulfillment. What has had the biggest impact? Is there anything that actually you no longer enjoy delivering or selling and you want to release that? It's not something that you want to take forward into the next year. Is there anything that is missing that you already know that you can tap into, that you can connect to that inner wisdom, connect to your ancestors? Ancestral work, shadow work is beautiful during the autumn season. But really listening to your own intuition, because as nature starts to still a little bit as we come out of that busy kind of energy of summer and we come into the autumn. It is a lot more peaceful. And as we get quiet, we can hear our intuition a lot deeper. This is why quite often during the autumn, the retreats I hold will be more around intuition and listening, connecting to your spirit guides, and connecting to that inner knowing is really key for the autumn months. And then, of course, we go into winter. We go into hibernation. Or we wish we could go into hibernation. This is where we really, really slow down. And business owners don't tend to like that advice. They tend to want to continue pushing and striving. And I've seen a lot of business owners that actually ramp things up even further during winter because they're thinking, oh, heck, like I've only got 3 months left of the year. I am so far away from a certain target. I need to push harder. I need to really force through the final 3 months of the year. And then we wonder why we are exhausted and burnt out come Christmas time. So I encourage you, if you're working with the seasons, to actually plan how you can allow yourself to have a little bit more of a rest during the winter months, because this is where we get to really nurture ourselves. You can still nurture your clients during this time as well. So quite often for me, during the winter months, we will go into more kind of healing and connection and really allowing that rest rather than looking for what we've achieved or what actions we're taking. We, again, turn inwards, but we're really nourishing ourselves during this time. Because when you rest, you restore. And your nervous system needs that. Okay, we need that rest and restoration phase. And another lovely thing that we can do during the winter, it's a little bit of a reflection, but it's more a realignment and looking at things that we've perhaps released during the autumn, things that the data has told us that is or isn't working. But we can, in winter, really start to remind ourselves of what is important. Are we operating from integrity again, but are we also aligned with what we value and what we need? And is our business providing that? Is our business a match for what we value as being important? Is our business a match for what is a priority for us in our lives? And things change, over the seasons. So what maybe was working last winter, when you get to this winter, you may think, actually, my needs are now slightly different. My emotional needs are different. My physical needs are different. Therefore, I want to start to consider and start to ponder. We just ponder throughout winter. Start to think about what it might look like. What changes might you want to implement as we get into spring? But please, please, please allow yourself to rest a little bit. You can still be productive when you rest. But if you don't rest at all, if you don't slow down, if you do continue to speed up, you know exactly what happens. So it is entirely your choice, as always, but really think about what's going to best serve you as the business owner and your business itself. And then we come around to springing, and this is where we start to see a little bit more clarity. So we might have been pondering a few ideas during winter, we've reflected during the autumn, and in spring we start to get clarity and we actually start to make those plans. We plant the seeds, right? And this is where we want to really focus on not just growing and expanding, although they are real themes around the spring energy as well. But we want to plan for something that is going to be sustainable. We want to plan for longevity. We want to plan that is actually going to enable us to see ourselves through the next seasonal cycle, see us through the next year without burning out, without thinking, right, well, I need to do all of these plans and I need to implement everything in the next 6 weeks. You can space things out. You already know that your energy is going to pick up in the summer months anyway. So in spring, we can plan. We might launch a few things. We might test a few offers. We might tweak things and see how it goes, ready for that summer momentum. And summer is like the experimental phase. The spring is the planning for those experiments and seeing where they fit throughout the year. So you might want to treat your quarterly planning meeting, if you have one, in the spring for actually mapping out the rest of the year. You can also do this in winter when you're turning inwards and your intuition might be a little bit stronger because you're in a quieter space. Again, my winter retreats, typically we will do planning for the year ahead because that's a great time for doing it. And then in spring, you can start to implement those plans. Start to plant the seeds, start to have the conversations, start to research, start to look for the opportunities. And then by the time we reach summer, you're in a really, really good place. You've laid the foundations and you are ready to show up and you're ready to go. And you're ready to receive all those wonderful fruits of your labor and reap the harvest, as it were. Now, the other lovely thing with the seasons is, I mentioned earlier, they do connect to astrology as well. So if you've listened to this and you think, do you know what? It's really weird, but actually I do feel really energetic during winter. It might be that your astrological placements lend themselves to that. So as with everything, take what lands, leave what doesn't, but your own personal energy is the most important thing. And if you're somebody who, perhaps you live in one place for 6 months of the year and then in another place for 6 months of the year. So perhaps you don't ever experience a winter in terms of weather where it gets colder and darker. Perhaps you don't. Perhaps you live somewhere where it's sunny year round, in which case you might not necessarily feel these clear, distinct energies. And that's okay too. But listen to your own body. Look at your own energetic patterns. Look at what happens in your business. Do you have periods throughout the year where actually you're really busy and you're receiving a lot? Do you have periods where it's a lot slower and that is your chance for reflection and refinement? So take what suits you and apply it to your own business, but just know that we are cyclical beings. Just as nature and Mother Earth is cyclical, so are we, and so is your business. Time is not linear. Your business is not a linear being. It's not a straight A to B destination, straight A to B journey. It is all over the place sometimes. Sometimes we're in that messy middle. Sometimes we're in a launch phase. Sometimes we're in a wrapping up phase. We go through cycles. So start to notice where your business goes through these cycles as well. And it might be that your autumn phase in business is actually during the springtime. And that's great. So you can take this and you can tweak it and use it so it helps you, so it supports you. But most importantly, you're putting yourself as the business owner at the center, because your well-being and your energy is ultimately what is fueling your business. So without you, what is left of your business? Even if you have a team that support you, they need you in your energy and to be honoring your energy. So working with the seasons is not only a great way of planning your business year, it's also a great way of looking at your well-being as well. And we will have an episode where I talk more about the Sabbats, which are the witches' holidays, the witches' wheel of the year, which obviously connect to the seasons as well, but just go a little bit deeper into the activities that we can do around those times, and it splits it out even more. But if to begin with, just splitting the year into those 4 quarters, which you maybe do already, and just see how this can help support you, how it can actually boost your energy. So you're not getting to the end of the year feeling really exhausted, really burnt out, and like you want to take a holiday from your own business, which is something that you started, I am assuming, because you are passionate about something and you love something and you want it to make a difference. We don't want to lose that because we've burnt ourselves out. Okay, we want to be lit up, not burning out. Okay, my loves, I trust you will take from this episode what you need, and I can't wait to hear and see your comments, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Alchemy Lounge podcast. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe and share this with someone you feel would benefit from this magic as well. And remember, you can collect some freebies and goodies all over on my website, vqlifestyle.com, including the 5-day reset for your business and your well-being. And of course, the Witch's Blueprint, which is integral for your business to help show you how you can work with astrology and tarot to enhance your business in the best way possible. Thank you again, and I will see you on the next episode.